Satiyam Yogino Yasyatam Navidu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha.
Community for taking the time off to be here and to better this endeavor that we are all set up on our life's journey. We are going to immediately go into the program, and firstly, some introduction on our presenter today. Mr. Brent Naicker is a theologian at the Center for Religion and Philosophy. He holds a Bachelor of Commerce in Finance from the Andhra University in India and a Master of Arts in Comparative Religion and Theology from the University of Madras, where he specialized in Vaishnavism. Remarkably, he was the first international student ever admitted to the department and remains the only international student in the world to hold this specific qualification. During his tenure at the University of Madras, Mr. Naicker made a historical breakthrough by tracing the family lineage of Bhagwan Sri Ram to the present day, linking it to Dr. V.S. Karunakar Acharya, a respected spiritual leader within the Vaishnava communities and a former director of the Ministry of Small Industries, Government of India. I think that alone is a remarkable feat. Mr. Naicker is also the author of Historical Development of Vaishnavism and has written 23 scholarly articles, including influential works such as The Ram Anuja, The Saint Who Reformed Religion, The Concept of Equality in Philosophy and Religion, Religious Egalitarianism Viewed by Ram Anuja, and his areas of specialization include Indian schools of philosophy, egalitarianism, religious socialism and reforms, and the schools of Vaishnavism and their philosophy. He is fluent in 4 languages, and Mr. Naicker is also committed to interfaith dialogue and academic engagement. Mr. Naicker, welcome to this forum. Thank you very much for being here. And without further ado, I would like to hand over to you for your presentation. We won't take questions during the presentation. You will make a note of your questions. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. After the question and answer session, we will have a short address by Pandit Lokesh Maharaj. And thereafter, hopefully around 3:30, he will talk about other pertinent matters relating to Purohit Mandal and the involvement of members. He will also talk about the next workshop.
So the topic for discussion today is Veda and pronunciations. So when Professor Maharaj approached me about a couple of weeks back to discuss this topic, I thought that more than the pronunciation that is important, understanding the Veda, where the Veda has come from, and how all of this has come into place and how is it relevant in today's time is much more important, because I grew up in Delhi and I only knew that there's something called Veda, but there's so much to the Veda that we don't know. There's so many sections, there's so much of other things that are there that need to be addressed, that we as South African Indians living in South Africa are clueless about. But I'm sure Mr. Srivan Ramanujan over there knows quite a lot, studying in Tirupati University and being a Shree Vaishnava. Shree Vaishnava community is very, very small in South Africa, so I'm very happy to see him here. Okay. So the first thing that we'll be discussing about, the topic is Veda, its sections and its structure. But the first thing that we'll be discussing is, where did this come from? Why is it so important to Hindus? There are so many Hindus today that debate. Hinduism is a very, very vast religion. In fact, it is a combination of religions, it's a combination of philosophies. Each one is having its own identity, its own belief system, etc., etc. So you'll find no two Hindus will ever agree on anything. So why is this so? So let us look at the vastness of the Veda. How big is this Veda? So let's go to the root where it has started. Can you go to a very controversial topic today to be discussed? The minute anyone sees Aryans, I get scared to even say such a word. When I discussed this topic in the University of Madras, the very next day I received a letter. The respected sir, first, you are an idiot, full stop. The philosophers you have learned from about Aryans are even bigger idiots, not the first one. So I get really, really scared to discuss this topic, but I'm academic. I've got a master's in comparative religion and theology. I'm not a traditionalist. In academical studies of religion, Mr. Maharaja will know, we focus mostly on evidence. What does evidence tells us? So in the Indian subcontinent, I can't say Indian subcontinent, we say Bharat, because if I say India today, we just, that India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all of that nonsense. So in Bharat, as I say, the term Bharat does not only refer to present-day India. It refers to much, much, much more. It goes right up to Iran. It's very large, it's a very, very vast area that we're talking about. Can we believe today, that Afghanistan was once a Buddhist nation? We can't imagine, it's impossible for me to think. Let us look at Pakistan, Vishnu Purana says that Narasimha Avadara, the Avadara of Narasimha, has taken place in Moolasthanam. Today, where is Moolasthanam? Some people interpret it as the south of India. In south of India, there's a place called Avobira, where Sir over there originates from. His lineage originates from there. But Moolasthanam over time has changed into Multan. Today, Multan is in Pakistan. And today you can't even imagine, you can't even talk about it. You go to Pakistan, you show them the ruins. This was where the place, there's a ruins over there. This is where it has taken place. It's difficult for us to imagine such a thing. But anyways, back to the topic. The Aryans, Dravidians, and Indus Valley people. An academical article written by Professor V.S. Srinivasacharyya. He has explained these three civilizations. So we have let us start with the Indus Valley people. What form of worship did the Indus Valley people follow? We don't know. We just know that there was a very, very vast civilization that existed. They had drainage systems and stuff. One day the Indus Valley people were there, the next day they were not, they were gone. So what actually happened to them today is a mystery. Some say it is famine. Some say it is some say it is a plague had attacked them. Some people say it could be a war. But we are still clueless today. No academia actually has an idea today what actually happened to the Indus Valley people. But their form of worship, we understand, was not similar to that of the Aryans and Dravidians. It was something a little bit different. But some other scholars, contemporary scholars like Professor Francis Clooney from Harvard University often says that it could be something similar to what we see as Kashmir Saivism or Dravidian Saivism. So they were not exactly Vaidicans. Going back to the Dravidians. Today as a Dravidian became a politically thing in India. If I go to the north of India and if I say Dravidianism, I don't know what will happen to me. So Dravidians refer to the people who stayed in the south of India. We are looking at states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, etc., towards the south. And their form of worship mainly followed that's similar to, what would I say, folktale. So like in South Africa, we have the deities like Mariam. And just to give you a few, Mariam, and one large aspect of the Dravidians mainly focused on ancestral worship. It is also there in the Vedic system, but their ancestral worship was somewhat different. Many differences are there. Now let's go to the Aryans. I hope nobody shoots me here. Okay, so the Aryans. Where did the Aryans come from? That is a big topic of debate among academics today. Some say they have originated in India, some say they have originated out of India, but again, what is India? That's a big thing for us to discuss today. What is India? If we say Bharat, then saying that they originated out of Bharat is a question. So there's a small picture over there. I'm not giving my opinion on what I think of this theory, but there's a picture over there. So some say that they have originated from Europe. Some say they have originated from Iran. So there's a big topic of debate. But wherever the Aryans, wherever they have originated from, the Aryans were extremely intelligent people. They were very neat, very tidy, very philosophical, if you might say. The manner in which they think, there's so much of things about them that, many people get interested about. But where they originated from, it's a question. And I'm not going to elaborate more and more about where they originated from, because just now I'll get a little respected sir, you are an idiot, full stop. So, so we have the Aryan, we have the Indus Valley people, the Dravidians and the Aryans. So, when it comes to Vedic Sanskrit, when it comes to Veda, a very large point focuses mostly on the Aryans. Of course, they have had an influence over the Dravidians over time, but that influence till today is debatable. To what extent has these two groups influenced with each other religiously? Okay, there's many similarities, there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time there's a lot of differences. And because of those differences that are faced there today, there's a lot of politics behind it. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, root of the Vedas. So here's a person, Krishna Dvaipayana. Who have heard of him? Okay. So we have in academics, when it comes to dating of the Vedas, each scholar, each academian, each professor has their own methods of dating. But at the University of Manifest Department of Vaishnavism, due to the politics that is faced in Tamil Nadu, we came up with our own period. Can you make it a bit bigger?
Yes. I'm using the presentation on the back of what is that?
Okay, so Krishna Dvaipayana. So we have in academics this form of dating for the Vedas, which we are not really clear of. Okay, so dating of Krishna Dvaipayana. So why is this important? So we have pre-Krishna Dvaipayana period, post-Krishna Dvaipayana period. Pre-Krishna Dvaipayana period means that we don't have 4 Vedas. We don't have divisions. We don't have anything. Everything is just one big, massive chunk of literature. So there's no Rik, there's no Sama, there's no Yajur. Everything is just one big piece of literature with no divisions that is found throughout Arya Desha. And then we have Krishna Dvaipayana. Krishna Dvaipayana took on this task of collecting all of these scriptures, collecting all of this literature up, and he looked at it and he said that, okay, there are similarities, there are differences. So what is similar? Let me put together. So that is how we have the concept of 3 Vedas. Since he has done this division of the Vedas in Sanskrit, the division, the concept of dividing something is called Vyasa. So he was called Vyasa. So his original name is Krishna Dvaipayana. Later on he became known as Vyasa. So he is responsible for giving us only 3 Vedas. Today as well, there's a debate among, I think there's one thing that the traditional scholars and academical scholars agree on is how many Vedas are there. So whether we should accept Atharvana Veda or not is a debate among academians and traditional scholars. So that's one thing we have in common. So we have, just one second. So Krishna Dvaipayana, this large group of literature, he has divided us and given us 3 Vedas, Rig, Yajush, Sabha. 4th one has come later on, much later on. So how did Vyasa divide this literature up? Even there as well, whether there's 3 as well, there's a debate. Some say that there's only 2. So Rig, Yajush, Sama, Rig Veda and Sama Veda are actually identically the same. Rig Veda is much smaller, but whatever is there in the Sama Veda is already there in the Rig Veda, but the tone changes. One thing that is very, very important in Veda, some people say that Veda is actually Sanskrit, but even traditional scholars as well also had a difference of opinion. What is a language? A language is something that has grammar in it. A language is something that has sentence structures in it. It is spoken. But when it comes to Veda and the chanting of Vedic mantras, that grammar is not there. So because that grammar is not there, we have these different interpretations. Philosophers and theologians are allowed to have their different views because there's no grammar in it. Grammar is something that it takes a language. So if you remove grammar, what are you left with? So Vedic sound, we can rather call it, rather than calling Vedic language. But traditionalists have used a word that is very, very nice, Veda Bhasha. So Veda Bhasha is something that is different than that of Sanskrit. Later on we'll see how it is both different. So Krishna Dvaipayana, he looked at the Vedas, whatever this literature that was given to him, and he divided it into Rig, Yajush, Sama. Rig Veda and Sama Veda both are twin Vedas, so you can consider it one Veda. So you left with 2. So he has technically given us 3, given us 2, up to you. So you have 2 Vedas or 3 Vedas, Rig, Sama and Yajur Veda. So that is why I thought, how many actually are there? Is there 1? You can consider everything 1 because you can consider all of this Vedic literature as 1, so that's okay. You can consider it 2, Rig Veda, Sama Veda both as 1, and Yajur Veda has been, the second one, but you can consider 3. Rig, Sama being separate, and Yajur Veda. So it's still, open for thinking. Then we have this concept of 5th Veda. What is 5th Veda? Different people have different opinions. So some people say that Ramayana is the 5th Veda. Some people say that Mahabharatam is the 5th Veda. Coming from the Shree Vaishnava tradition, the poetry that was given by the Tamil Alvar saints, that is considered to us to be the 5th Veda, even though that is a completely different language. So 5th Veda, I can say Hare Krishna here. So Hare Krishna, what would they consider Chaitanya Charitamrita to be the 5th Veda, am I right? I stand to be corrected. So there is a debate on, which is not a debate, but each school of philosophy, each school of religion has their own thought as to which is the 5th Veda. Now, again, 2 other controversial topics, concept of Apaurushaya and academical view. As per the traditional view, it is disrespectful for them to put a dating to the Veda. So what I did in the beginning, saying post-Vyasa, pre-Vyasa, that's actually disrespectful in the view of the traditionalists. And I can get killed. So they believe it's Apaurushaya, it has always been there. It has not even been created by God himself. So that is their view. Academical view, 3000 BC. So again, with academics, we focus mainly on, what evidence is given to us. So, and this always changes, Harvard University, every other year, some other research is done, and they change the date. They keep predating. Whereas the tradition was straight. A Paurushaya, it has not been, there's no dating to it. Rigveda. Rigveda is the oldest among all of the Vedas, whether it is 2 Vedas, whether it is 3 Vedas, whether it is 1 Veda. This is the oldest of the 4 Vedas, and it is the largest. It has a total of 10 mandalas. Each mandala has a total, I think one mandala is 49. So it has 49 chapters with a total of 10,552 mantras that are there. Now again, what makes this Veda, what makes it a Veda? Again, the tone that is there. What is the tone that is over here? The tone is Rik. So in Sanskrit, Rik is nothing but a meter or a tone, you can say. So all the mantras that are there within the Rig Veda all follows a similar tone, the same tone. What is that tone? So this is, Sahasra Shila Purusha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. This is just one of the tones, one of the examples. What would be another one? Yasmai Deva Purohita Yasyaha. This is another. So all will follow this particular tone. This tone is nothing but called Rik. So, the concept of Purusha and Yaga. Okay, let us look. One particular thing about the Aryan worship was the concept of Yaga. And this concept of Yaga worship is there everywhere. No prayer is actually complete without Yaga. So they use this was the form of worship, and they use this form of worship in expressing certain ideas, like the ideology of disillusion. So if I'm not quite, maybe Big Veda, Mandala 5, Mandala 6, somewhere in between there, it talks about dissolution of the universe, what happens. And the Aryans had said that even this is a form of a yaga. Avadam vasum pashum yajnam vari iriksham prokshanna. Heard of it? Purusha Sutta. Yajnam vari iriksham prokshanna. Avadam vasum pashum yajnam vari iriksham prokshanna. So what happens at the time of dissolution, when the entire universe is, coming to an end? Avadam vasum pashum. Tayyajnam vari iriksham prokshanna. Purusham jagam pradaha. So Vasu is another word. Vasu again has an interpretation. Again, there's no grammar that is holding us back from interpreting what Veda says. Vasu in this terms means Brahma. Avadam Vasum Pashum. He becomes a Pashu. What is a Pashu? A four-legged animal. He is sacrificed by the Purusha. Who is that Purusha? Who is that Brahman? Who is that God? Today I can have a one-year debate on who that God is. Who is that particular Brahman? We can debate. So that Brahman, that God, what does he do? He sacrifices this Pashu, this animal who is Brahma. So all of creation gets sacrificed. So again, we have this idea of a theological concept being dissolution of the universe. And what does the Veda does? The Veda compares it to that of ritual. What does it mean? Inside the animal, there's a part of the animal. I'm not actually quite sure. Swami, what is it? The animal, part of the animal, which is often
used to the hormone.
Yes.
Heart, liver, lining of the stomach.
So the heart, liver, and the lining of the stomach is taken and it is offered inside the yaga. Today is it done? No. Today the animal sacrifice is not done by humans, but at one particular point in time, I think it is post pre-Mahabharata. In Mahabharata we have the Charitram, what is it?
Vatapi, the Asura Vatapi,
Vatapi Ilvala.
Agastya,
Yes. So post that particular period in Mahabharata, the animal sacrifices was allowed in the yaga. But post this period, now today we can't go take a goat or whatever and sacrifice. So one particular time, Hindus were not vegetarians. It was a practice for us to sacrifice and worship God in Brahman in that particular way. But today we eat vegetarians. We don't eat onion, we don't eat garlic, etc. etc. So that is the concept. That's just one concept that's there in the Rig Veda. Avadam was in washroom. Tayyakyan by irrigation function. Now, here's a very so here's a very topic that I like. Environmentalism. Environmentalism, particularly in the Rig Veda. And one of my professors, V.S.K. Raghavan, actually pushed me to look at this Rig Veda in the view of environmentalism. So what does the Veda do? This is seen throughout the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda uses nature. It uses nature continuously to compare nature to that of Brahman, to that of God. So God is like a tree. God is like a huge mountain that is there. I think it is fifth Mandal. See him in the tree, see him in the mountain. And Hindus have taken this literal. Because today we do see God in a tree, we do see God in a mountain, we do worship God in every sense. So this goes back, to mankind. Wait, Christian can arise. Wait did man come up with the concept of God? How did this ideology come of man and God? Where did they see? And honestly speaking, the Rig Veda, from what we see is that man saw God in nature. Man saw God in every aspect of nature. Therefore, he's compared to different things. God is like a tree. God is like a mountain, etc., etc. So that is the Rig Veda, context in the Rig Veda. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, Sabha Veda. So again, Rig Veda, Sabha Veda, both is the same, but the tone changes. So Sabha Veda is more musical. Sama Veda would have been the largest Veda. However, it had 1,000 shakas. But out of the 1,000 shakas that was there in the Sama Veda, today I'm only having 2. What happened to the 998 others? It is lost, we don't know. So if one of you go to India and for family, please go to the city. So it is lost. The Mahabharata says that it is the largest Veda. It is having 1,000 shakas. At one point in time, it says Sahasrakoti shaka. Sahasrakoti, that is, what is that? Thousands of 1,000, 1,000 times 1,000 shakas. But today we only left with just 2. So that is Kaupara shaka, Jaina shaka, Kaupara shaka, Uveva. Research project on how this Veda is able to reduce the pressure in the body. So just by listening to it, when your pressure is high, you see it's almost reaching 200. Just go on YouTube and listen to it. So that is Kaupara Shaka, Jaina Shaka. I don't Yajurveda. Yes, Yajurveda. How we don't people are always Yajurvedas. So I don't know Yajurveda, so it will be helpful to me today. Okay, so it is having 1,875 verses. It is musical in nature, like what you see now. So it's saying Rig Veda, but it is just instead of following the Rig system, Vyasa said, you know what, let's just put this in the Samagama, just put it in the musical system. So that is there, it's musical in nature. Example I've already given to you. So when you go home today, open YouTube and listen to Samagama. It is a beautiful book, especially Gautama Shaka. Let us go to Yajurveda. Okay, Yajurveda between Sama and this is the second biggest Veda. It is having two parts to it. Here there's nothing is lost. Yajurvedas are very, very particular on which sections they follow and stuff. So there's two parts to it. Shukla Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda. Shukla white, Krishna black. This is white Veda and black Veda. No division. It's divided. So it's having a total of 1,975 Vedas. What does this Veda tell us? So again, the Aryans, the concept of worship, how to worship Brahman, how to show respect to that God that has created us is through yaga. And this tells us how the yaga is to be done. If you go to any proper yaga that is being performed, which in South Africa is extremely very, very rare. You will hear the priest chanting mantras. And if he's chanting Yajurveda, about 80% of the mantras, he's telling how to perform the yaga. Take this water, sprinkle on this kumbha, asmin kumbhe, asrenadi samproksha. So the priest will take the water and sprinkle on the kumbha. And then, take offer water in the northern direction. In the God area, he will say, go to the northern direction and offer this. Within the Hindi community, I think this is practiced mostly during Shraddha, when we perform in the Purohit to look at the directions and stuff. So the priest will say all of this. All of that comes in Yajurveda. So you see, it's also called Yajurveda. Actually, again, a debate among scholars today. Is it called Yajurveda or is it called Yajurveda? So, just what my professor said earlier, it was called Yajurveda. And then it became Yajurveda because of the influence of Hindi. So in Hindi, they have this problem, it's not a problem, but the ya changes, I think the ya changes to a ja. Yashoda. Yeah. So it has changed all the time to Yajur. Even with Rig, today some people say Rig Veda, R-I-G. So that mainly has to do with the dialect in Tamil. The K and the K and the G both the same. So, yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Okay. That's nice. So, yeah. So the K and the G. So instead of saying Kulashekara, I can say Gunashekara. So we have that form of changing. Next. Can this Veda be considered authentic? Any ideas? So Vyasa has only given us the 3 Vedas, and later on we had a Rishi, Atharvana Maharishi, who looked at what Vyasa has given us, and he said, hold on a minute, some things don't actually match up. So he has taken all of those mantras out, added some as well, and that's how we've got Atharvana Veda. But, a lot of people do not follow. Like in a temple, in traditional South Indian temple, after any yaga is performed, all Vedas are chanted, not only Vedas are chanted, Idihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vishnu Purana, Varaha Purana, all of this are chanted to the deities, and they exclude Atharvana Veda. So why do traditionalists do this? Are they not identified with authority? But again, some of the shlokas that are there in the Atharvana Veda are quoted. So whether to consider it authentic, whether to consider it not authentic, it's not me to say. So some traditional scholars, mainly towards the east of India. So towards the east of India, you're looking like at states like Manipal, Bangladesh, West Bengal, they actually accept it much more often. But you come down to the south, there's a debate. You go to Gujarat as well, there's a debate. The only three Vedis. Where's Chaturvedis? Who are Chaturvedis? There's only three Vedis. There's only Vedi, Dvivedi, Trivedi. Who's Chaturvedi? Who follows the fourth Veda? So that's a type of conversation I was having with a scholar from Gujarat. So whether to accept it or not, but some people do accept it. Even in the south of India, very rarely you'll find it. Okay, so to the next one. Okay, so each Veda is having its own division. So now, Indians like doing divisions. Caste. You are different than me. Now, even here as well, again, another division. Wow. So we have Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. These are the four sections of the Vedas that you find. Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka all form something called Karma Kanda. Upanishad alone follows something called Jnana Kanda. What is Karma Kanda? What is Jnana Kanda? For us to do, see, marketing is very, very important. If God doesn't market to us that, if you do not do something, and this will happen, we won't do anything at all. So this marketing strategy is used even there in the Vedas. So, Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, all the Karma Kanda, it teaches you how to get a good karma, how to destroy bad karma, a whole lot of other things. But this is just why it is called as Karma Kanda. So this deals with Karma Kanda, and this deals actually with, again, the form of worship of the Aryans, which is Yaga. So, form of worship of the Aryans, which is Yaga, and the purpose of doing a Yaga, many purposes can be there. You can do it because it is your dharma. You have to worship God, but you can also do it because you have that karma. So, these three sections of the Veda tells us how to get rid of this karma and how to get good karma and what are the processes we should live on a daily basis. Now we come to Upanishad. Upanishad means Jnana Karma, meaning from this part of the Veda you are getting knowledge. What knowledge are we going to get? Knowledge about the self, which is a question that many of us ask. Knowledge about the self. Who am I? Why was I born in South Africa? Durban, of all places. Why is this happening to me? Why? And the Upanishads gives us this answer. So let me talk about 6 schools of Indian philosophy: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Vedanta. Okay. So 2 important schools of philosophy we have is Mimamsa and Vedanta. These 2 schools of philosophies, there are many similarities, but again, when it comes to philosophy, there are similarities, and more than the similarities, there are differences. So between these 2 schools of philosophy, the Mimamsas have chose to follow the Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, the Karma Kanda part. Their view is only for us to understand who am I, is for us to constantly perform yaga. Only through the process of purifying karma will I know who I am. So that is what the Mimamsas say. What do the Vedanta people say? The Vedantians have argued that through study, by studying, by looking at what is there in the Upanishads, by internalizing all of that, by looking at what it says, that from learning that, from understanding that, I will understand who I am. And it doesn't stop there. By understanding who I am, I will get moksha. So it's a very, very philosophical thing that you have to think about. If you go into Indian philosophy, you will just think and think and think and think non-stop. So the Jnana Kanda focuses on knowledge. Let's take an example from an Upanishad. I am Atma Brahma. So this is one part of the Upanishad. Which Upanishad does this come from?
Kathopanishad.
Sorry?
Kathopanishad.
Kathopanishad. Conversation between Nachiketa and Yama. So Nachiketa and Yama, they have a conversation, and Yama tells Nachiketa, I am Atma Brahma. That Brahma that is there, I am that. I am that Brahman that has pervaded the entire universe, that is present on every inch of the universe. I am that. I am not this body. This Atma that is in me will go out and will emerge with that Brahman. What is concept? Can you imagine the Indian civilization, how long that has had this thought? Whereas Western civilizations only, their philosophy has only made it up in the late 16th century. But long that, we've had such philosophical thoughts. I am Atma Brahma. I said that philosophers would never ever agree on any true point within the Veda. Yasya yataha kapyasaha pundarika akshini. Another part of the Upanishad. Which Upanishad, Swami?
Chandogya.
Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad says, Yasya yataha kapyasaha pundarika akshini. Two different interpretations. Two different. Within Veda, within the same group of philosophy, there's a difference of opinion on this. The Advaitis say, so in Advaitam we have these two concepts, there's two Brahmans that are there. There's two forms of God, Nirakara Brahman, Saguna Brahman, Nirakara Brahman. Saguna Brahman, Brahman with no qualities, formlessness that is over there, that pervades the entire universe. The whole universe that is over there put together forms that Brahman, and it is formless. No gunas, no qualities. So in Advaitam they have this concept of, I can't say degrading, but poking fun at the Brahman that is having gunas. So like Rama that is qualities he is having. So here and there they believe that this Nirakara Brahman is much more important than Saguna Brahman. That Saguna Brahman is just a small part of the Nirakara. So they poke fun. So Yasya Yataha Katyasa Pundarika Akshini actually means that the eyes of the Saguna Brahman, the small Brahman, what does it look like? It's red. Red like what? Red like the rear end of the monkey. So see, they are poking fun. Now let us go to the same school in Vedanta. Let us go to the Vishishtadvaita school. Yasya yataha kapyasam pundarika akshini. Bhagavat Ramanuja has given a commentary to this, and he says that the eyes of the Brahman, what does it look like? The eyes of the Brahman. So in this philosophy, it is the opposite of Advaita. Advaita, no important to Saguna. Only Nirakara Brahman, formless Brahman is given importance. But here, in this philosophy, Ramanuja argues that the God who has created all of creation that is over there, look, he has created that tree. That tree is having beauty. He has created this flower. This flower is having beauty. Can that God be formless? Where does all of this beauty come from? He questions and asks. So, Yasya Yataha Yapyasaha Pundarika Meva Akshini, Bhagavad Ramanuja says that the eyes of the Brahman is similar to that of a Kapyasa. Kapyasa means can be monkey, but it can also mean a lotus flower. So the eyes of the Brahman is like that of a lotus flower. What does this mean? Again, imagery to the Veda. I never put this down, but imagery to the Veda. The Veda at points in time tells us that God is formless. And at other points in time it tells us that the God So what form does this Brahman have? It will come to that just next time. Okay, what does it actually tell us? What does it actually tell us? What does all of this in the Veda actually tells us? It tells us that there is somebody. There is somebody that is very, very powerful. There is somebody that is present there everywhere. There is somebody that can control everything at all points in time. So it tells us about somebody. Who is the somebody is subjected to schools of interpretations. So for the somebody for the Vaishnavas, of course, will be Vishnu. The somebody for the Saivas will of course be, for the Saivas will of course be Shiva. For the Kaumara it will be Murugan. For the Shaktas it will be Shakti. For the Sauryas it will be the sun god. So this interpretation to who this person is subjected to each school of religion. But it gives us an imagery. It says that he has 4 hands, he is tall, he has 4 hands. That's if he's having a form, again. If he's having a form, he is tall, he is, the size of his waist is the size of the neck. So in Tamil literature, interestingly, there's a story of how the waist size should be. The waist size should be that of the neck. Whereby, if you put a flower in your ear, the flower, if you put a little more of that stem, your hip should break. And somebody like that. Salapatigaram, am I right? In Salapatigaram, Tamil and Sangam literature poem, they say that a girl has died. How did she die? She died because she took a flower with an extra stem which caused the spine to break. Me, you can put an entire tree. Nothing will happen. So that is how. So this Brahman is having a thin hip, is having long arms that stretch below the knee. Why below the knee? Because for one who is a protector, for one who is protecting the whole universe, for one who is a Kshatriya, his hands has to be below the South Africa, they can't even bend down. Huh? And then we expect such people to protect us. But this person is having long arms. Why does he have such long arms and 4 arms? Because he has to protect the entire universe. Chaturjani, interesting part. He is having fangs. Now this is not something that is actually in the north of India, is actually shown that much. But in the south of India, if you come and if you look at the deities that are there, not so much in Vishnu temples. Very few Vishnu temples. I think there's one in Kumbakonam where the Vishnu is having canine teeth, like teeth that is good. Any idea?
I think it's Ramaswamy Company.
Ramaswamy, same one is having teeth. So it looks so good. So this Brahman that is there, he is having teeth now back. Yasya yataha kapya asakunda nikamira. Actually, his eyes extend to the ear. Can you imagine? Eyes that are so big that extends to the ear. So that is the interpretation, that is the imagery the Veda is given to us about this person. Okay, so Veda, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra. What is Brahma Sutra? Within the Vedanta school of philosophy. So again, there are 6 philosophies: Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Vedanta, Nyaya. There's 2 more. Which are the 2 more?
Purva Mimamsa. Purva
Mimamsa is Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa is Vedanta.
2 streams.
So, Purva Mimamsa is the Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa is Vedanta, correct? Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Vedanta, and there's 2 others. So,
Yoga.
So, these are the 4 schools of philosophies, and each school of philosophy has its own method of taking its essence. So, in the Vedanta school of philosophy, philosophy, we take our essence from the Vedanta. So what justifies Brahman, what justifies God having qualities are in Brahma Sutra. So if you go to the Brahma Sutra, you can do your own research and you can look at this 555 verses. Brahma Sutra. 555 verses for Advaitis. Advaitis, they justification that God is formless and that you emerge with that and that I am God. They have justified and given 555 shlokas. For the Vishishta Advaitis, for the realists, the people who say that God is having gunas and qualities, it is 545 that we have taken and interpreted and said, hey, you know what is actually having form? Brahman is actually having form. Okay? Yes, okay. So, concept of Sankalpa Shakti and Dharma Jnana. So, what does the Veda say? Who is God? Who can be this Brahman? Who? Majority of the Veda is telling us that is a Brahman. But qualifies to be him because last time I checked is how much? 33 million gods. So, which one? Eeny, miny, moe, you're going to pick that way? You can't pick it. So, which God, Veda, it talks about many gods. But which God is, at the end of the day, there can only be one. Ekosad Bhavoda Vidhanti. Upanishad says there can only be one God. It's only one reality. Often people say that, Hindus are having many gods. We worship many gods. But the whole Upanishad is saying that at the end of the day, there's only one. So what qualifies this one out of the 33 million gods that we have? What qualifies in Veda tells us of two qualities that we should have. These two qualities should be only specific to him and to nobody else. So no one else should have these qualities. None of us should have these two qualities. So if this person has these two qualities, then you can call him Brahman. Then you can call him Brahman. So what are the two qualities? Sankalpa Shakti and Dharma Bhuta Jnana. Yamunacharya in his work, he's giving many books. In one of his books, he has argued this. So what has he argued? Sankalpa Shakti Dharma Bhuta Jnana. Sankalpa Shakti means that he should have the ability to control everything at all points in time. I can only control how much I am speaking right now. But I cannot control anything else. Today I was late because the freeway was blocked. So I couldn't control that. If I am walking down, there's many mountain temples. I've been to one mountain temple, and while climbing up that mountain, I wasn't looking properly. And one step was actually broken. It was not a full step. And I put my foot on that. So I cannot control everything. None of us here can control anything. Okay, maybe your wife can control her husband. To some extent. Okay, she can control the family. And a mother can control her son. But can a wife control what the husband does when she's not in the front? She cannot control that. So a person who controls everything at all points in time, that person, if that person is having that quality, then he is good. Let us look. Mahabharata. What happens in Mahabharata? Mahabharata, Krishna goes to deliver a message to the Kauravas. So it's all diplomacy there. You must be diplomatic. And he goes as a messenger. And it's an embarrassment for someone who is a Kshatriya at that point in time. A Kshatriya go in and give him a message. No one does that today, but Krishna did. And a Kshatriya, a warrior, go in and lead a chariot. That doesn't happen among the Kshatriya community, but Krishna has done it. So, what happens? He goes as a messenger, and Duryodhana gets a message. Krishna is coming. So he says, you can't harm a messenger. Even today, diplomats are given immunity. They can kill someone whom you can't arrest them. They can drive drunk, you can't do anything to them. And I think it was in the US, the Saudi Arabian consulate. Someone was actually murdered in the consulate. And you can't do anything to them, you can't touch them. So the same rules apply there. You cannot touch them, but you can embarrass them. So Duryodhana says, okay, let us embarrass Krishna. Ignore him. The minute he comes, just ignore him. We won't even listen to what he says. Whatever message he is giving to us, let us not even listen to that. So he tells that to everybody. He said, you don't follow whatever I do. If you're scared of Krishna, just look at me. You know, and follow what I do. So Krishna comes in. Krishna steps inside. And through Duryodhana's eyes, everybody stands up and acknowledges Krishna's presence. And everybody goes and Duryodhana speaks. So Duryodhana questions and asks, you know, not to acknowledge him, not to greet him. And they say, you was the first one to go and fall onto his feet. You was the first one to go fall onto his feet and give him respects. But Duryodhana had no idea of this. So that comes from the Sankalpa Shakti, the ability to control everything at all points in time. So just one example. So me standing right here, right now, he is controlling me. Me speaking right now, he is controlling me. So me driving, he is controlling me. So he controls our entire life like the South Indian mother, who controls everything that the son does. Dharma, Swami, this topic, any idea? This topic, no matter how many times it is explained, it will be explained over and over and over again. You can't understand it. I cannot understand it because the professor will start explaining something about an ant. And then suddenly we are going to Brahma. And suddenly we are going to someone a child that is in school who is writing a maths exam. It just goes on and you cannot understand. So I don't have a clear understanding on what is Dharma Bhota Jnana. But if I am to do a PhD, that will be my job. Dharma Bhota Jnana. What is Dharma Bhota Jnana? It has a lot to do with knowledge. Jnana is it. Jnana is knowledge. So what does it have to do with knowledge? Dharma Bhota Jnana. What is it? So I'll just give you two examples, right? These two children that are there, both are in grade 10, both have the same maths teacher. Both have the same maths teacher, they go for 10 hours of lessons each, they study the same amount of time, they write the exact same paper, but one person gets 90% and the other person gets 50%. But you know, why is this happening? Both logically speaking, as per the Naicker school of philosophy, both have studied the same amount of time, both have understood, but what prevents these two children from achieving the same results is a question. And that all stems to Dharma Bhota Jnana. You know, take an ape or a monkey or a chimpanzee and put him amongst humans to stay from birth. Will that animal speak English? Will it eat like that of a human? What prevents it? What is preventing this animal Dharma Bhota Jnana? So it doesn't have that mental capacity to. So each individual is different. It doesn't have the ability to understand everything. So Dharma Bhota Jnana with us is different. I know something. You will not know the same thing. I might know how to eat. I might know how to cook. Thank you. So each aspect is different, every individual is different. Dharma Bhota Jnana. But the Dharma Bhota Jnana of God, of Brahman, has to be complete. He has to have the ability to know everything at all points in time. Only if he knows everything at all points in time, that person can be called Brahman. So he should know accounting, he should know maths, he should know physics, he should know life science, he should know everything at all points in time. Even this concept he should know, which I am struggling to understand for the past 2 years. So he should know everything at all points in time. He has known in the past, he has known present, and he will continue to know in the future. So Veda says, if someone is Brahman, whoever this Brahman might be, he has Sankalpa Shakti, the ability to control everything at all points in time. If he is walking amongst steps and there's not a step over there, then what should happen? A step should appear for him to walk through the process of Sankalpa Shakti, and he should know everything at all points in time. So you can lie to your father, you can lie to your mother, you can lie to your teacher, you can lie to your friend. But when you stand before God, you're completely naked of your legs. There's nothing that you can possibly hide from him. So if this person is having these two qualities, he is God. So you can question. Some people today claim that they are God. Many people claim that they are God. Ask them. Take down notes. Do you have Sankalpa Shakti? Do you have Dharma Jnana? The word itself, people don't know what he said. What language is that? So Sankalpa Shakti, Dharma Jnana. So that qualifies one to be Brahman, is what Veda says. Next. Easy topic. Swami. So this Brahman that can be everywhere at all points in time, again, we still do division, because we as Indians, we love doing divisions. Even though we eat khichdi, which is all mixed, but divisions for us is very, very, very important. So this Brahman that is there, which the Veda talks about, who is having Sankalpa Shakti and is having Dharma Jnana, is all being everywhere at all points in time. Again, they say he is there everywhere at all points in time, but now what is this five-fold manifestations? These 5 places you can find him. I am saying. So Para, Vyuha, Vivala, Antaryam, Archa. This is, you can write a book on this. It's so interesting, it's very, very easy. So Vedas tells us that these 5 places you find God. Para. Para, again, I cannot go there, you cannot go there. It's not like you can book a flight and you can go there. No, you can't. It is a God that is complete in all aspects. And the imagery I have given you that is there earlier, Chaturbuja, 4 hands, fangs. The Padre laughed when I spoke about the hips. So all of this relates back to the para form of God. It's God that is, you cannot access it. When do you access it? You only access it when your karma levels are completely zero. Both punya karma and papa karma, or through the doctrine of nyasa. What is nyasa? Nyasa means complete self-surrenderance, to say that I do not belong to myself, I belong to you. So through that process, you will reach that form of God. Varaha says, Te Manasisu Swaste Shari Mistayo Naraha Nasusami Este Smanta Vishwarupam Stamamajam Tatastama Premani Kashta Bhasham Sannipam Aham Smadam Bhaktam Namam. If that Jivatma has surrendered his entire life unto me, at the end of his life, when he is like a dead log, Bhagavan is, in fact, he said that when humans die, when nanas die, they look like a log that is just there. In such a state, when he dies, Namadi Paramadati, I will take the Jiva and he will come to Paramati. So para form of God, which is inaccessible to all of us until the point of moksha. Vyuha again inaccessible. You and I cannot reach him, but some Maharishis have reached God. You see some stories that the Maharishis going and what are those movies called that you see on Star Plus. So you see the Maharishi going there to that particular deity and praying to that deity, the doors are opening, etc., etc. The Maharishis may be able to go there, but the Para point, they can't go. So God, for the process of creation, dissolution and sustenance, this Brahman, this reality comes down to a step down called view. We will come back to it, okay? Let us go to Antaryami. So Upanishads claim that God is the what is that? Antarbahiksha, he is there inside, he is there outside. Vyaptaha, he has pervaded everywhere. So God pervading everything at all points of time is still an important concept. And that is nothing but Antarya. God is existing within us. And he's also existing outside. He's there everywhere. You know, there was a child. The father asks the child, is your God in that pillar? You know, is he there in that pillar? Can he be? The father was an atheist. And he said, is the God in that pillar? And he points at us. And the child said, yes. The child is a believer. And says, yes, my God is in that pillar. And the father wants to prove the child wrong. So he takes a mace, he bangs to the pillar, and then dim 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 gadim bam daha pidaha cham dhuma ke kuma ke le takke purna yuktaha akaranaha paduma narasimha. God came out of a pillar, proving this point that Brahman is there everywhere, antaryami, anicca. So idol worship. We are called idol worshippers, So yes, God even exists within the idol. But God, through this process of coming, into an idol, how merciful is that? How can somebody that is in such a big position, who pervades the entire universe, how can this person come to an idol? It's a beautiful concept. The concept of, yes, he's such a big person, he's so great, he's so vast, but still, for us to worship, he's coming up, into an idol. And he's not only coming to an idol, he's eating the food that we are cooking. I don't trust any other person's food, but he is trusting our cooking, and he's eating it through the process of archa. So archa is another form of the Vedas. Now archa, there is another debate among the scholarly community. Some says that archa form of God or idol worship was not present in Vedas. To some extent, maybe not. I'm not saying anything. It could be true that ancient Hindus were not always worshippers of idols. But idol worship or archa worship goes beyond that. The setup of a yaga, if you look at it, not in South Africa, in India. In South Africa, I haven't seen any proper yaga performed. So the setup of a yaga, that itself is archa form of God. In Vaishnava temples we have this yearly performance, what is it called? Pavitrotsav. In that they draw a mandal and everything. That itself is an archa form of God. Worshipping God through a kalasha, that itself is also an idol, archa. Worshipping God, has a bitter leaf. In Hindi, the Hindi tradition put a bitter leaf and that nut on the top. Yes. That is also archa. That is also God. God has come and has pervaded that spot. Even when we do Shravan as well, we always take, 2 darbe and we put in the side. Even on that as well, that is archa. God is coming and sitting on that. Archa necessarily doesn't only need to mean it has to be in a temple and all that. It can also be, has what I said. Now Vibhava. That God that is so great, that pervades everywhere at all points in time, is having the Sankalpa Shakti, is having Dharma Bhuta Jnana, that particular God sometimes likes to come down and mingle with us. So therefore we have all these different avatars, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Rasma, Vavana, Krishna, Varama, Balarama. But is it only that? Has this Brahman, as Vedas said that the Brahman only came during that particular time? What about now? Why is he not coming now? Is he taking a break? No, even till now, and also another thing, has he only taken all of these forms only in India? Is it only particularly in that particular place that God wants to be? No. So at everywhere of the world, God has taken that form, and even till today, this Brahman exists in all of these places. So even till today, maybe he could be here, he could be in South Africa, he could be in Germany, he could be in Switzerland, he could be in Bangladesh. I don't know. So he will be there everywhere. It's up to him, wherever he chooses to go. Why? Because he wants to mingle, he wants to try to understand us better. What are the better means within us? Okay, so these are the 5 O's of it. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so the importance of sound in Veda. So, in the beginning I explained, Veda Bhashya and Sanskrit both could be different. How is it different? Sanskrit is a language. A language is governed by grammar. You remove the grammar, what are you left with? You know, just a bunch of words, just a bunch of sounds. So a language only can come into play if it is having grammar and grammar rules. But that is not present in the Veda. You know? So Veda Bhashya and Sanskrit, is it the same? No, it is not. It is very much different. Sanskrit is a language. Veda Bhashya is the sound of the Veda. Through Sanskrit, we are able to interpret what is there in the Veda, and that is how we come to different conclusions. Okay, so let us look at the word Aja. Okay? Aja. What is the meaning of Aja in Sanskrit? Okay? In Sanskrit, Aja means a goat. So a goat that is over there means a goat. But in Veda, this word becomes Aja. Ajayama Bhavudha Vijayante. I am not sure which Upanishad.
Means grain.
Sorry?
It also means grain.
That is in Sanskrit. Yes, according to Veda Bhashya, we go way down. So it means, Aja means a goat. But now, Ajayama Bhavudha Vijayante Upanishad. The goat, which is unborn, is born many times. Goat. How can a goat that is unborn be born many times? So Veda Bhashya comes into play here. How you make the word sound. You can say Ajaha, or you can say Ajaha, or you can say Ajaha. Ajaha, the one with the high tone, that actually means the one who is unborn. So the one who is unborn, that person is born many times. So he is unborn. That's something that we cannot understand today. You know, how can something be born? How can something can be born, but how can something be unborn? But this person that is unborn, he is born many times. You know, go back to the previous slide. You know, we have Vibhava. So the one who is unborn, he is born many times. So it links back to that. Then the next interpretation, Ajayamano Bhavudha Vijayante. Aja can also mean Indra. Interestingly, Aja can also mean Brahma, can also mean Indra. So Ajayamano Bhavudha Vijayante. But in Sanskrit, what does Sanskrit tell us? It's a goat. So if I don't say Ajayamano Bhavudha Vijayante, what does this mean? If I just say Ajayamano Bhavudha Vijayante, that means the goat that is over there, the goat is born many times. So we should be careful, you know, you don't want to call Brahma Indra and stuff a goat when we imagine, oh, you be a goat, please give me, you know, 1 million ransom. Will you ever get it? So the pronunciation, but not only pronunciation is very, very important. Not only the pronunciation of Sanskrit words is also very, very important. The manner in which a yaga is performed, that is also extremely important. So how to perform a yaga? Performing a yaga doesn't just mean, you know, taking some wood, putting in there, taking a match, something just, you know, and swaha, swaha, and then over and done. No! It is beyond that. From the very beginning, it is beyond that. The center of the yaga kunda that we use, that the Veda says a particular size it has to be. It has to touch the ground. You cannot, today they are making these yagas that, you know, it's beyond the ground. It has to touch the ground. It has to be measured. You have to measure. The measurements are given in the Veda. the height of it. For different yagas, there's different shapes. There's a circular shape, there's a rectangular shape. You just can't go like a fire there, of a ghee. Even the ghee, the ghee has to come from a particular breed of cow. And you can't just go to the shop and buy food into a yaga. And you can't just use wood that you can buy from garages. It has to be from a particular tree. That tree, that branch that you break out of the tree cannot have flowers on it. So there are rules, and you have to be extremely clean. I see priests in South Africa just try their way to the temple, and the priest is wearing socks and going into the Dharma, into the place of the. And I'm thinking, how funny is that? You have to be extremely clean before you go into the temple. You have to have a bath. The clothes that you wear, you cannot wear a shirt and perform a yaga. All of this is asuchi, shudra. Right now I'm dressed as a shudra. What does it mean? I am dressed as a low class. I do not have any rights to even speak the word Veda. So I am dressed as a shudra, and I'm so you cannot wear stuff that you have to wear stuff that are not stitched. It has to be of a particular cotton. Imagine that. It cannot be that cotton that you go to the shop and buy. It has to be a particular cotton. The yaga has to be arranged in a certain manner. Each thing has to be in a certain direction. The yajna kunda has to be a certain size according to what yaga is being performed. So if I'm performing Ashwamedha yaga, that's a particular setup that is over there. That is done for 1 year. Ashwamedha yaga is performed for 1 year. And then Putrakameshti yaga can be performed afterwards if the king is not having a child. So that has to be a completely different yaga. And everything is very particular. And I don't think in today's time that will be possible, especially in the country that we are in. But that doesn't mean we cannot try. We can try to have a yaga that is particular. Getting the measurements and stuff is a big deal. And stuff like that. Not only that, the stuff that needs to be offered. I cannot, I went to the temple as well, and I saw somebody offering a kiwi fruit. And I'm thinking, and the neighboring that is offered in the temple, the food that is offered within the temple particularly, you cannot have onion and garlic. You can't have onion, you can't have garlic, you can't even, some vegetables are permitted, radish, carrots. So a whole lot of things are, prohibited, but we are afraid. So Veda says only if all of these tips are followed, the benefits, the palam only is granted. So let's just say we do everything correctly, but instead of getting desi ghee and ghee from a particular breed of cow that is found in India, instead of offering that, people offer clover. It's not clover. You didn't perform the yaga. That is not a yaga that you have performed. So, and even the way in which we dress, I said, shirt, the pants, the dhoti has to be a particular, the sling, it has to be 9 meters, am I right?
Yeah.
7 and 9 meters. So 7 and 9 meters or 9 meters, you have to tie, it has to be clean. How clean does it have to be? You cannot wear that dhoti or that clothing and sit and eat food. As soon as you are done whatever, it has to be taken, it has to be washed, and it has to be kept on a line that is separate from the other. So these are all the rules that are there. So not only the pronunciations are important, the way in which we pronounce the mantras, but the way in which we conduct the yaga. And in between, people talking, chit-chatting in the yaga and so on, they should be permitted. So in Ashwamedha yaga note, before I end, I just want to share Ashwamedha. So how many of you have heard of this Ashwamedha yaga? So Ashwamedha yaga is again mentioned over and over and over again. I think like around in the Rig Veda, So why is this yaga so important? It was a way in which the Aryans would, it's a way in which the Aryans would, show their supremacy of a particular area. And for a very long time, we didn't know what this yaga actually was. Ashwamedha yaga. The Ashwa being a horse being offered in the yaga. What was this? And when India actually got independence in the year, which year did they get independence? 1847. India got independence. The Maharaj of Jaipur, in order to claim back the land that was taken from the Britishers, he had performed Ashwamedha Yaga for 1 full year. So what is it like? So firstly, a horse, of course, Ashwamedha Yaga, a horse is taken, and wherever that horse puts its foot in, that land belongs to the king. And if the presiding king he doesn't want to give up his land, then that is when the presiding king has to fight for his land. Ashwamedha Yaga. So at the end of the 1 year, when the horse goes and claims the entire land, it comes back, and a huge yaga is held in a yajna vatika. So yajna vatika is nothing but the land where a yaga is performed. Even again, that land is subjected. It shouldn't have ponds on it. It shouldn't have weeds that grow on it. Only flowers should grow on it. If I grow a tulsi leaf, if I put a tulsi seed, within 7 days the tulsi tree should grow. So only that much, there should be within a 10-kilometer radius, there shouldn't be any grave sites over there. So only in this particular land we can perform this yaga, and this yaga was performed, and Ashwamedha Yaga, the entire horse was thrown into the yaga. And this was in the year 18, when India got independence. And that was the last point in time that the Britishers were still in India. And they recorded everything. And thanks to that recording, what they have shown of how many of the horse being sacrificed, the manner in which the horse was sacrificed and offered at the yaga, the sounds that the horse have to make before it is sacrificed, then only it is sacrificed, and how far away those sounds have to be heard, all of this have been recorded, and thanks to that record, today we can interpret freely what is the Ashwamedha Yaga. And that was historically, that was the last time that the Ashwamedha Yaga was performed. So with all of that being said, I am an academic, so my views are completely that different than that of traditionalists. So if I have offended anyone, I am extremely sorry. It is my nature as an academic. And can I quickly, just for like 2 minutes, quickly take question and answer session, quickly. Oh, so everyone understood it? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to refer to Rantidev's horse. I don't know if you've heard of Rantidev.
Rantidev?
Yeah.
Is that the deity of the Rig Veda?
He's mentioned in various places, but let me
Yes.
just get to it because I don't remember everything now. I used to remember it clearly before when I was younger. Rantidev's horse is actually an iron horse. It's when I was studying Sanskrit, my professor showed it to me, and then I was very young, a teenager, and he asked me, and I said, yeah, that seems to be a horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha, and that seems to be. How does such a horse go so fast that it can reach another place?
So we have to look at the interpretation.
Just say it can reach another place in a few seconds or in a few minutes. And I said, I don't believe it, that seems like fiction. And he said to me, no, that's an iron horse. Rantidev had a horse which was an iron horse, and you had to slay it for it to move. Now what does that mean if you have to slay an iron horse for the horse to rush forward? That's a rocket made of iron. We refer to horsepower, remember?
So it's
in the
also
early days when they were talking about power, it was always spoken of in terms of horsepower. So this was their horsepower. Rantidev's horse was the first one that Westerners were able to interpret. I can't remember the details now, I studied it such a long time ago, but it's something you might be interested in going through.
So again, it is, subjected to interpretation.
Yeah.
So when we say Brahma is having 10 heads, what does that mean? We don't have 10 heads. He had 10 different, you can say, egos, 10 different faces. At one point in time, he was a great devotee of Shiva. At another point in time, he was a great Vedic scholar. At another point in time, he was a lover of poetry. At another point in time, he was the king of Lanka. Lanka was even more prosperous, so much so that, when Hanuman goes over there, Hanuman doubts, can Rama fight such a place? So, subject to interpretation. And what you said, iron horse. So, rather than having an iron horse, interpreting it as a rocket.
Or some other machine.
Some other machine could be, but again, when it comes to Veda, you have to understand this concept of exaggeration. If I perform this yaga 100 sons, can anybody make 100 sons? What does it mean? It means that you will have that many sons, that it seems as if it is 100. So, Rati, there is iron horse, a horse that is so strong that is there, that it could be, it's figurative in a manner, it's poetic. All of the literature that is given to us, that is there, everything is poetic. Because the only way we will remember stuff, is through poetry. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. That's something that, we all remember. But none of us remember Shakespeare. Anybody remember? No, but all of us remember Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. So, why? Because it's poetic. People understand stuff better when it is human nature. When something is, given poetic to you. So, rather than having an iron horse, can symbol that, the horse that is being so strong that it could be made out of iron. Okay? Any other questions?
It could also be interpreted as the amount of land that the horse.
Yes?
The greater
The greater the amount. So it could be a golden horse as well. So that, that is also there. So, understanding Vedic literature, reading Vedic literature, you have to have a very open mind, and you have to be very, very, you have to have, your mind has to be big for you to be able to think out of the box. Okay, any other questions? I would like to have one minute at least.
Thank you for the presentation as well. I know you've spoken quite a bit about Vedas in terms of imagery, in terms of interpretation, and also to get maximum benefit out of a mantra to transcend the physical. One has to look at the swara, the matra, and all of these.
Correct.
Can you just expand on that? And
So how the mantra has to be chanted?
Yeah.
So again, there's a swara. Lik is having its own swara. Sama is having its own swara. That is, the Yajur is having its own swara. And Yajurveda has its, it's very beautiful, it's a very fast swara. Swami, can you give us one, because I did Lik and Sama, can you give us one from Yajur, because I don't know anything in Yajur.
हरि ओम अग्निमीले पुरोहितं यज्ञस्य देवमृत्विजं होतारं रत्नदातमं हरि ओम.
So that is how. Only if I say that Agnimele Purohitam Yajnasya Devamritvijam Hotam Ratnadatamam, this has meaning. But if I say Agnimele Purohitam Yajnasya Devamritvijam, this is meaning. What English are you talking? And only if I say Chaya, to have the pause. Vacham Hoveva. Again, pause. You have to pause. Only if I see in this manner, then it is having meaning. Otherwise, I can make it no. What is this? You know that there's no meaning. So when it comes to Veda, the pronunciation of each word, yen aja, be careful. You don't want to call Brahma a goat. You wouldn't get your 1 million that you're asking for. So you have to be very, very, very particular. That's an answer to your question. Okay, so thank you. And then?
I first met Brent last year when we did a program at the university, and in fact I got him saved on my phone in Shree. So yeah. So if my late Guruji HR was here, he would have asked me, why are you calling him Brent when he has such a proper name actually? But I think this was a really enjoyable. Yeah, when I met him, I decided then that one workshop at least we are going to invite Sridhar to be with us, because I felt that he had a wealth of information and experience which was very relevant for us as priests. And I think I wasn't wrong in our decision to invite him to speak to us today. And what is, I think if I have to say what is it that we've learned, it's that the pronunciation in Vedic chants and pujas is not just about linguistic concerns. It's also about the spiritual and the ritual significance that it holds. So we realize that improper pronunciation can unintentionally alter the meanings or diminish the intended spiritual efficacy of the mantras, and that's what he ended with. And when he spoke about the word aja, and you can see now why pronunciation is so important. If I take it back to, a lot of people will say, but my heart is clean. It doesn't matter how I pronounce. And I'm hoping that has changed. It will change after we've listened to what Brent has told us here today. So, I think we as priests need to develop strategies where we can improve the way in which we are reading our mantras. And he already alluded to YouTube. So there are lots of good examples of pronunciation on YouTube. Chinmaya Mission has also some very good examples. And as priests, we have to realize that correct pronunciation is not a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's not something that you learned, okay, I got the Purohit course, so I'm done now. No. It is a lifelong process. Right? So, I've been reading Sanskrit for many, many years, but I'm still not confident in the way in which I pronounce things. And I feel that daily I need to be listening to others, listening to people like Brent, and learning new things. I mean, people often ask us the question, what is God? Who is God? And today, I've realized, I found a way that in which he explained it through the Sankalpa Shakti and the what you call Kalpa Bhuta Jnana. So that's such a beautiful way, and if somebody can't understand what God is from there. So you see, learning is a lifelong process, and we need to find ways. Recently we were at a function, a temple function, and Pandit Rishal is here. He related how when he as a student, they used to meet at a mandir on a regular basis, and they used to practice pronunciation together. Why should we be doing this only when we are students? Why not those of us who live close by to each other form our own groups in mandirs, listen to correct pronunciations, teach each other, do peer pronunciation, peer teaching. So it is something, I'm hoping that this workshop has inspired us, that because we are practicing priests, it doesn't mean that we know. There's always this room for improvement and for taking us even further. So I think it's important to integrate proper pronunciation in our daily pujas, it's not just about correctness, it's about honoring a tradition. You can see, and that's why Brent took us to the roots of the Vedas. So when we pronounce correctly, it's not only about correctness, it's about honoring that tradition, honoring that root. So if you consider yourself to be an Aryan or a Dravidian, whatever you are honoring that tradition by ensuring that we have this correct pronunciation. So thank you very much, Brent. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure that you are not going to disagree with me that we need to have many more such sessions with him. And I'm sure that Pandit Sajil is going to arrange for more such sessions with us. Panditji, thank you. Okay, just two things to talk about. You see, Pandit Sajil and Pandit Rishi often send out messages on the Purohit group calling for volunteers. And we're very enthused by the fact that lots of people do volunteer. But we do run the Aryan Benevolent Home Companionship Program. And the more of us that participate in that, the less frequently you will have to go for it. So at the moment, if we got 10 people, it means that one person goes every 10 weeks. But if we have 15 people, it means one person goes every 15 weeks. So we are calling upon you to volunteer, because if you volunteer and the more people we have in the pool, you will go less frequently in there. So it's not like every week we'll call upon you to go. So we still are looking for people to join the companionship program. We understand that there are lots of people who are doing their own sewa in their own areas. We acknowledge that. But if you have some time, we will please contact Pandit Rishi or Pandit Sajil so that you can also be, because the strength of Sanathan Dharma lies in what we can impart to people. And so while we are doing it in our temples and we're doing it everywhere, that's good. There are people in our Aryan Benevolent Home and similar homes who don't have children who can do these things for them, for whatever reason. And we are trying to fill that gap. So during Ram Navami, during Krishna Janmashtami, during Navaratri, our priests go and perform satsang for them. And I can tell you, speak to the people that are there, Pandit Veersen goes, you know the joy that is in those people's eyes, the happiness that they get when they do that tarpan themselves. So let's get involved in the work of the Mandal and by contacting them. We also are trying to include more of our female priests in the program. Recently, we had Pandit Shireen Fulchand and Pandit Shireen Giriraj, Pandit Mala Rambali, Pandit Umilya Maharaj, who participated at the Murti Sthapana of the Spingo Sabha. And it was a great success, and they really carried themselves well. They showed that they know pronunciation, and it was, I think, I'm hoping that I'm talking on behalf of them, it was an empowering experience for them. So more of you, when we send out these requests to volunteer, make yourself available. The word empower means to make more powerful. So we want everybody to become more powerful than other people are. And that's the whole purpose of it. So we're hoping that you will take advantage of the opportunities, because we want to make the Purohit Mandal inclusive rather than exclusive. Thank you, Pandit.
May I resend that request to the Purohits in the next day or two?
Right, sure.
Are there any other general matters which anybody wants to raise, besides what has been discussed already? Okay, so I think all of you have the date for the next workshop, and I trust that you have diarized it. The presentations will be done by multiple priests, and we are also trying to include younger people to do these presentations, which will encourage them to do research and better prepare themselves as well. So I hope that all of you will attend. It's going to be on Narayan Bali, and it's going to include information on the suttams that are included in the Vedas that are read at Narayan Bali, the procedure, the reasons why, the significance of performing Narayan Bali, and of course there will be some diagrams, etc. presented to clear any kinds of doubts that you may have in your mind. So I trust that all of you have diarized this date, and we look forward to your attendance and participation in the next workshop. We didn't send out the dates. But we will put it onto the group chat again.
It's the 27th of July.
Yeah, 27th of July.
I think all the 3 dates were sent in one message months ago. Yes, long time.
Sorry, somebody has their hand up.
Roshni.
I just wanted to, in relation to Pai's chanting, because I think some of us thought that there was going to be a session, like a lesson on chanting, and I would like to suggest, because he's obviously got some Carnatic music background, a very beautiful voice, so if we could have a session, I don't think time is going to allow it today, while he is still around, maybe I would like to suggest that there be a session. I will definitely be interested in learning to do that.
We will engage with Shree and obviously take guidance from him on the procedure and how we should approach this, because perhaps there are rules that we have to learn first. But we'll take the direction from him and then we'll see how to integrate it into our future workshops. But I hear what you are saying, and personally I am also very excited about it, so we'll definitely pursue it. Thank you very much.
And we can also include Shrivanji. We can also include Shrivanji in that program.
Yes.
In fact, I promised that I'm going to include him. You remember? Next workshop.
Okay, our 2026 Panchang has been prepared already, and we should have them ready for distribution at the next workshop. You must look out for a message, because we don't want to unnecessarily waste paper and print these Panchangs if you are wanting just an electronic copy, which will be on the website, accessible only to registered fees. So look out for the message, and if you want a printed copy, you must let us know. So we will have it printed and you can collect it at the next workshop. Just to let you know, it is sensitive to Durban, South Africa. So you won't have to do conversions if you consult other Panchangas, etc. You'll have a hard copy available to you with Panchak and all the other things that we use on a daily basis. Okay, there's nothing else. We'll conclude. May I ask all of you to please rise?
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुर्भाग् भवेत् ॐ तमसो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतगमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
जय श्री राम।